For the longest time, the common thinking was that the adult brain was, well, pretty much fixed. What you had was what you got, right? But what if I told you that's just not true? That right now, as you're listening to this, your brain is quietly rebuilding itself every single day. And no, this isn't some sci-fi concept. It's a real biological process happening inside your head. And it all starts with one number. And that number is 700. Yup, 700. That's roughly how many brand new neurons your hippocampus, the part of your brain that's a hub for learning and memory, is creating every single day. And this amazing process keeps going deep into old age. It has a name, neurogenesis. Okay, so the fancy scientific term is adult hippocampal neurogenesis, or AHN for short. You can think of it as the engine that powers your brain's ability to adapt, to learn new things, and to stay mentally healthy. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. This incredible ability isn't guaranteed. It naturally starts to slow down as we get older, and it can get seriously hampered by things like chronic stress or just a boring, unstimulating environment. So that begs the question, right? How in the world does your brain actually build a brand new neuron from scratch? Well, it's definitely not as simple as flipping a switch. It's more like a carefully choreographed 5-act play. First up, you've got proliferation, which is where new neural stem cells are born. Then comes differentiation. This part is kind of cool. It's where these little baby cells figure out what they want to be when they grow up. In this case, a neuron. Next is migration, a short but super critical journey to their new home in the hippocampus. Now, not all of them are going to make it. Stage 4 is survival, and it's basically a use it or lose it situation. Only the neurons that are actually needed get to stick around. And finally, stage 5, integration. This is where the survivors plug themselves into the existing brain network, making new connections and getting ready to get to work. Now, this whole 5-stage process isn't just happening in a vacuum, It's all fueled by this incredible symphony of molecular messengers. And the big question is, what controls those messengers? Well, it turns out we do. It's our environment and our actions. Things like cognitive stimulation, physical activity, and even practicing mindfulness directly influence the very chemistry that builds our brain. Okay, so this brings up a massive question, doesn't it? If this whole process is so vital and we know our own actions can influence it, why haven't we figured out the perfect recipe for brain growth? Well, for a really long time, scientists were hitting some major roadblocks. Here's the thing. Studying this process in living, breathing humans is incredibly tricky. For ages, the only surefire way to even confirm neurogenesis was by looking at brain tissue after someone had passed away. And sure, modern brain scans can show us if the hippocampus is getting bigger, but they can't tell us why. Is it new neurons or something else entirely? On top of that, our real lives are just messy. It's almost impossible to isolate one single factor, like a walk in the park, from the 100 other things you did that day. It's a huge challenge. But recently, researchers found a key to unlock this whole problem. A way to actually measure, almost in real time, how our actions are impacting our brain's potential for growth. And the answer lies in one absolutely crucial molecule. That molecule is called Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor, or BDNF for short. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like fertilizer for your brain. Seriously, BDNF helps existing neurons survive, and it encourages the growth and differentiation of new ones. It is absolutely essential for learning, memory, and your brain's overall ability to change. So what makes BDNF such a total game changer for research? It's this. It can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, and that is huge. It means the level of BDNF we see in our bloodstream is a pretty good reflection of what's going on inside our brain. We can measure it with a simple blood test. For the first time, this gives us a real-time window into our brain's health. It's a massive breakthrough. Okay, great, so we can measure it. Now for the part you've probably been waiting for. What actually works? What can we do? Well, the research points to 3 specific brain boosters that reliably crank up our BDNF levels. And the coolest part is how they all work together. All right, pillar number 1 is physical activity. This is your fast track to a BDNF boost. I mean, even a single session of moderate to high-intensity exercise triggers an immediate spike in your blood's BDNF levels. It's like giving your brain a direct shot of that fertilizer, right when it can use it most. Next up, pillar 2, cognitive stimulation. We're talking about things like learning a new skill,
navigating a new city, or just digging into some complex ideas. Now, this one's different from exercise. The BDNF boost isn't instant. It's more of a slow burn, a delayed effect that builds up over time. This is what gives you that long-term, sustainable increase in your brain's baseline level of fertilizer.
And our third pillar is mindfulness. Now, this one works in a slightly different way. It's not just about producing more BDNF. Mindfulness actually protects the BDNF you already have. How? By lowering stress and inflammation, two things that are absolute poison for new neurons and are known to crush BDNF levels. So mindfulness basically creates this healthy, stable internal environment where new neurons can actually flourish.
And this is where it all clicks into place. It's really cool. You've got physical activity for that immediate hit of BDNF. You have cognitive stimulation for that delayed long-term buildup. And then you have mindfulness, which creates a stable, protective environment for the whole system. See, they aren't just three separate things to choose from. They're three parts of one integrated system for a healthier brain.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for us? It means we actually have a scientific roadmap for building a better brain. And that leads to this really powerful new idea about how we can apply all this to the world around us. The concept is called neurosustainability. It's the idea that we can, and we probably should, intentionally design our physical environments, our homes, our workplaces, our cities. We can design them to sustainably support our brain's natural ability to grow and change. Because our surroundings are never neutral. They're either helping this process or they're hurting it.
And check this out. This chart shows just how practical this idea can be. Let's break it down. For mindfulness, to cut down on that stress, we can use something called biophilic design, which is really just a fancy way of saying we should bring more nature indoors, or just make sure people have access to parks and green spaces. For physical activity, that immediate BDNF boost, simple. Design buildings with prominent, appealing staircases, or create neighborhoods that are actually walkable. And for that long-term cognitive training effect, we can build environments that are full of novelty and complexity, and that encourage us to interact with each other.
I mean, as the source material concludes, our built environment has the power to guarantee the sustainable regulation of this key brain fertilizer. Think about that. We can literally build a world that makes all of our brains healthier, more resilient, and better able to adapt to whatever comes our way.
So that leaves us with one last big thought. Every single day, the world around you is actively changing your brain, leaving its mark on your neural wiring. The question is no longer if your environment is shaping your brain. We know it is. The real question is, how are you going to shape it back?